Good morning, everyone. Heavy here. Bitcoin hit a new all-time high overnight as institutional acceptance continues to grow. As I said previously, we're seeing a tidal wave of new inflows, and it's just getting started. Stay tuned for more information about current events and who's adopting Bitcoin today. But until then, we got to do our cold plunge. Well, Bitcoin's sitting about 3% below 50,000 right now, but that means we still got to do our cold plunge. So here goes crypto cold plunge number 25. As I mentioned in the opening, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high last night. And the air temperature right now is currently at an all-time low for the plunge series. Bitcoin Bob, what's the pool temperature right now? Wow, he said it's 43 degrees. Getting right into the news, we can see Bitcoin hits record as MasterCard and Bank of New York Mellon embrace crypto. Bank of New York Mellon is the oldest commercial bank in the United States. You know what they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, apparently you can teach an old bank new tech. We can see Yahoo Finance is crediting this catalyst for pushing Bitcoin up to its new all-time high. And continuing, we can see Bitcoin appears to be in a near perfect storm for higher prices, and Tesla has helped solidify about $50,000 as the next whole number resistance target. As you all know, this is the cold plunge every day until Bitcoin 50K, so this is very exciting news. As for BNY Mellon, what exactly they'll be doing with Bitcoin, they'll be holding, transferring, and issuing Bitcoin as well as other cryptocurrencies for institutional customers. Holding and transferring, I see as basically them having a wallet where they will hold your Bitcoin for you, like a safe deposit box. Issuing Bitcoin is interesting. I'm kind of wondering what they're talking about there. Maybe they'll be mining Bitcoin, but usually when I hear the term issue, it's like you're issuing new money or something, and obviously, unless they're mining, they can't just create Bitcoin out of thin air. I also mentioned that MasterCard has entered the space, and we see MasterCard is, quote, actively engaging, end quote, with central banks around the world on their plans to launch new digital currencies. This is exciting news because even though it says central banks will be issuing their own new digital currencies, that still just shows a more broad acceptance of cryptocurrencies in general, especially among these big money institutions and the establishment. And since Bitcoin, like Coca-Cola, is the most iconic brand in the ecosystem, Bitcoin will always see demand as long as cryptocurrencies are around. An interesting thing that was pointed out last week was that JP Morgan says they see the Tesla Bitcoin bet as too bold for others to follow, and they don't think it's likely that we will see a falling domino effect of other corporations buying Bitcoin. However, if we scroll over to this article, we can see last month during a town hall meeting held for thousands of JP Morgan traders and sales personnel, global market heads Troy Rorba acknowledged a question that is increasingly being asked by banks' own employees. When will they get involved in Bitcoin? And expanding on that thought, the question was answered on the call. JP Morgan co-president Daniel Pinto signaled he was open-minded about Bitcoin and stated that his decision would be informed by whether a critical mass of clients wanted the firm to trade Bitcoin. He says, quote, if over time an asset class develops that is going to be used by different asset managers and investors, we will have to be involved. The demand isn't there yet, but I'm sure it will be at some point. Folks, this is what I'm talking about with the tidal wave of inflows. We're currently sitting right before the beginning of the parabolic part of the Bitcoin curve. There is growing evidence to suggest that the real price action hasn't even begun yet. This is the early stages of a new technology that hasn't yet been adopted. Some people are comparing it to the internet in the 90s. As I said before, if you look at Bitcoin where it was in 2013 and you compare it to where it is now in 2021, we can see that it has increased in price by many orders of magnitude. Now imagine 2021 to 2029. How big is Bitcoin going to be then? And our final bit of news is a follow-up on a story that I covered about a week ago and also continues to show the further acceptance of Bitcoin in the mainstream. Headline, Miami mayor passes mayor's Bitcoin resolution. The Mayor Bitcoin resolution was a request to the state of Florida to allow the city of Miami to pay employees in the cryptocurrency and also invest some of its treasury funds in the digital coin. Currently, this is not allowed by the state of Florida because there are strict controls on what they can use that money for. This is because they don't want cities to invest their treasury funds into highly volatile assets like Bitcoin. They prefer for them to invest it in things like US treasuries, where it's a significantly safer asset, but more importantly, with lower volatility. Meet Kevin pointed out something that I think is valuable to repeat, which was that Bitcoin is volatile, but it's not necessarily risky. It has big price fluctuations on a daily and especially weekly basis. But overall, the idea of that Bitcoin is going to go down to zero or even go down by 50% becomes less and less likely with each new story that comes out and each new positive catalyst. Let's take a look at the candlesticks right quick before we jump off for the day. We can see Bitcoin has tested the 48,000 level 3 times now and was following this trend of setting higher lows until today, unfortunately, when we have this real big red candle. We're currently down about 5% in the last hour. But as I mentioned, volatile, not risky. Many people will view this as a buying opportunity. As we can see, each time it tested these lows of around 44,000, it was scooped up very quickly. This is a bullish sign and shows that bulls are in control of this range and this rally for now. In the coming days, hopefully we'll see it test 50,000, and that will be a big indicator of where this is to go. 50,000 is a huge psychological barrier and arguably the biggest one since 20,000. Things should be gearing up. We might need a big catalyst to really push us through 50K, but if we can break that 50K level, we might see explosive price growth as we did after 20K, 30K, and finally once it broke its all-time high at 42K. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me in another episode of Cold Plunge every day until Bitcoin 50K.